There's a team at the 2026 World Cup that has already survived more obstacles than most sides will face in the entire tournament. They've trained without proper domestic league. Their assistant coach walked out mid-preparation. Their federation president was turned away at an airport trying to attend a FIFA meeting. Their players flew to a third country just to apply for visas, and as of this week, not a single travel document had been confirmed. Yet here they are, still coming, still preparing, still insisting in their own words that no one can exclude them from a World Cup they earned the right to play in. That team is Iran, and the situation surrounding their participation in FIFA 2026 is one of the most complicated, most fascinating, and most consequential storylines heading into the biggest football tournament in history. Because this isn't just a question of whether one team shows up. It's a question of what FIFA actually promises when it says every qualified nation deserves a place at the table. It's a question of what happens when the logistical challenges around one team go far beyond anything the other 47 nations are dealing with. And it's a question that raises real concerns about how FIFA manages situations that have no simple playbook. So what's really going on here, and what does it mean for Iran, for Group G, and for the tournament as a whole? Let's break it down from the beginning. Iran qualified for the 2026 World Cup on March 25, 2025, with a 2-2 draw against Uzbekistan in Tehran's Azadi Stadium. Mehdi Taremi scored twice that night, sealing the country's fourth consecutive World Cup appearance and seventh overall. It was a brilliant qualification campaign, and in Asian football terms, Iran is one of the continent's most consistent and respected programs. When the draw was made in December 2025, Iran landed in Group G alongside Belgium, Egypt, and New Zealand. All three of their group stage matches are scheduled in the United States, the first against New Zealand on June 15th in Los Angeles, the second against Belgium on June 21st, also in Los Angeles, and the third against Egypt on June 26th in Seattle. Their base camp is set in Tucson, Arizona. On paper, it's a tough but manageable group. Belgium are the clear favorites and one of Europe's most dangerous teams heading into the tournament. Egypt come in with real attacking quality and continental pedigree. New Zealand are the underdogs, but always competitive and hard to break down. For Iran, it represents a genuine opportunity. Their squad is experienced. Taremi brings 33 years of age and 57 international goals. Captain Ehsan Hassafi has over 100 caps. Goalkeeper Ali Reza Baranvand is making his third World Cup. Midfielder Ali Reza Jahanbakhsh plays professional football in Belgium and knows that environment well. This is a squad that has the tools to compete. But getting on the pitch isn't the simple part of this story. Here's where things get interesting. The challenge for Iran at this World Cup isn't tactical, it isn't technical, it's logistical, and it started long before a ball was kicked. The first visible problem came in November 2025 when Iran's Football Federation announced it would not attend the official World Cup draw in Washington, D.C. The reason was that several senior federation officials, including Federation President Mehdi Taj, had been denied visas by the United States. Taj is not just the head of Iranian football, he's a vice president of the Asian Football Confederation and sits on multiple FIFA committees. He's one of the most senior football administrators in Asia. Being denied a visa to attend the draw of a tournament your country qualified for is by any standard an unusual situation. Iran called it non-sporting. FIFA said it was looking into the matter. The draw went ahead without Iran's delegation in the room. Then, in April 2026, Mehdi Taj attempted to travel to Vancouver in Canada to attend the FIFA Congress. Canadian authorities refused him entry at Toronto's airport. He was turned back, again.
At this point, a pattern had emerged that the Iranian Federation could not ignore. If senior officials couldn't travel to attend administrative meetings, what would happen when the players themselves needed visas for the actual tournament? That question became the defining issue of Iran's World Cup preparation, and it's still not fully resolved today. Now, this is where things change in a significant way, because the visa situation is more complicated than it first appears. In Iran, military service is compulsory. It's not a choice, it's a legal obligation. Many members of the national team, including prominent figures like Mehdi Taremi and Captain Ehsan Hajsafi, completed their mandatory military service through the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Under Iranian law, this is completely standard. It's how the country's conscription system works. The complication arises because the United States and Canada both designate the IRGC as a terrorist organization. That designation creates a legal gray area around any national team player who served their compulsory service in that branch of the military. Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, stated publicly that Iranian footballers would be permitted to enter the United States for the tournament. But he immediately added a caveat that individuals with documented ties to the IRGC could still face travel restrictions. The Iranian Federation made their position clear almost immediately. Federation President Mehdi Taj stated openly that all players and technical staff, especially those who served their military service in the IRGC, and he named Taremi and Hajsafi specifically, should be granted visas without any problems. That became the central football question of Iran's entire World Cup buildup. Not who plays where, not which formation Galanoe prefers, but whether the players can even get into the country. Think about it for a moment. If Taremi can't travel, Iran lose their captain, their most experienced attacker, a striker with 57 international goals who scored twice on the night they qualified. That's not a squad adjustment, that's a fundamental change to the entire football operation. FIFA has been working on this situation for months, and they've been consistent in one thing. They say Iran is coming. In April, Gianni Infantino confirmed publicly that Iran's participation in the 2026 World Cup is certain. He described the upcoming tournament as the most inclusive sporting event in history. He said Iran would be welcomed with enthusiasm in North America. In May, FIFA Secretary General Matthias Grafström sat down with Mehdi Taj at the Turkish Football Federation's offices in Istanbul for what both sides described as a constructive meeting. Grafström confirmed that all major issues had been addressed, particularly around visas. Taj said he was satisfied with the discussions and left the meeting expressing confidence. But here's the thing. As of May 20, when Iran's squad departed Tehran for their training camp in Turkey, not a single visa had been issued to any player or staff member. Taj himself told Iranian media as recently as that date, "We have not received any account from the other side regarding who has been granted visas. No visas have been issued yet." That's the tension FIFA is currently managing. On one hand, there's public confidence. On the other, there are real, unresolved practicalities with less than 3 weeks until the opening match. FIFA's regulations are clear that host nations have an obligation to provide visas to all participating teams. The federation official handling Iran's preparations, Mohammad Nabi, has stated that FIFA is aware of this obligation and is working to ensure it's met. He said he expects the issue to be resolved within 2 weeks. The question is whether that timeline holds. The squad's preparations have been unlike anything any other team at this tournament has dealt with. Because Iran and the United States severed diplomatic relations in 1980, Iran has no American embassy at home. That means the team couldn't even apply for visas from Tehran. They had to travel to a third country to do it. That third country is Turkey. Iran's squad flew to Antalya on the Turkish Mediterranean coast for their pre-tournament training camp. The plan was to train there, play friendly matches, and simultaneously process their visa applications at the relevant embassies in Ankara. On May 21, players and staff members arrived at the U.S. Embassy in Ankara in batches, wearing their training gear to submit their applications. Reports confirmed they would follow similar procedures at the Canadian and Mexican embassies as well. Head coach Amir Galanoe has been straightforward about the situation. Completing the visa applications, he confirmed, is one of the primary purposes of the training camp. It's not a side task, it's a central mission. The squad is scheduled to play a friendly against the Gambia in Antalya on May 29.
A second friendly and a match against a Turkish club side are also planned. And if visas come through in time, there's a fixture against Puerto Rico in Tucson, Arizona, their planned base camp as well. That last match could be crucial for acclimatization ahead of the Group G opener. But what's been equally striking is the context back home. The Iranian domestic league was suspended after the military strikes earlier in the year, leaving many players short of match sharpness at exactly the point they need to be peaking. Sardar Azmoun, who would normally be a key figure in attack alongside Taremi, is absent through injury. The Italian assistant coach unilaterally terminated his contract and walked away. This is a team that has had to absorb blow after blow and keep moving forward. And yet they departed Tehran at a ceremony in Enqilab Square, with crowds of flag-waving supporters cheering them off. Whatever the complications, Team Melli represent a football culture that runs deep. The players know what it means.
There's another layer to all of this that the football world hasn't talked about enough, and that's what it means for the integrity of Group G. Belgium, Egypt, and New Zealand have all been preparing under normal conditions. They've played friendlies, completed their squads, sorted their logistics, trained their systems. Their players know where they're going, when they're arriving, and what they need to do. Iran, at this exact moment, doesn't know for certain whether its most important players will be on the pitch. That matters for the football, not because Iran deserves sympathy going into the group, but because a World Cup group should be contested between teams that have had the same basic opportunity to prepare. If Iran arrive having spent weeks chasing paperwork instead of training, if key players are still uncertain about their status days before the opening match, that changes the football equation for everyone in Group G. Belgium are considered overwhelming favorites to advance. Egypt have real quality and real ambition. New Zealand are competitive underdogs, and Iran sit in a unique position. Talented enough to cause problems, experienced enough to be dangerous, but carrying more external uncertainty than any other team in the tournament. The bigger issue is what this moment says about FIFA's responsibilities as an organization. When a team qualifies for the World Cup, they qualify on footballing merit. Qualification is about what happens on the pitch over months and years of competition. Iran earned their place through results, through performances, through Taremi scoring twice in Tehran. That is not in question. But the ability to actually participate in the tournament, to get visas, to travel, to set up a proper training camp, to arrive in the host city ready to play, that's something FIFA has to guarantee. It's not a courtesy. It's an obligation built into the structure of the competition itself. The Istanbul summit between FIFA and the Iranian Federation was a significant step. Both sides left expressing confidence, but there's a gap between expressed confidence and confirmed visas, and that gap is still open with the clock running down. What's happened with Iran at previous World Cups gives this situation additional weight, because Team Melli have been one of Asian football's most consistent stories. They first appeared at the World Cup in 1978. They returned in 1998, in 2006, and then consecutively from 2014 through to now. They've never made it out of the group stage, but they've come close. In 2014, they were deeply unlucky. In 2018, they were competitive in a difficult group. In 2022, they were involved in two of the most dramatic matches of the entire tournament, losing to England but defeating Wales and nearly eliminating the United States. That 2022 run showed what this team is capable of when they arrive settled, organized, and prepared. Goalkeeper Beiranvin's saves, Taremi's late strikes, Galinowi's tactical discipline, it all held together, and the football world took notice. The 2026 group presents different challenges. Belgium, under their current structure, are formidable, especially going forward. Egypt have real momentum and dangerous attackers, but New Zealand and Iran are evenly matched enough that the opening fixture on June 15th in Los Angeles could go either way. If Iran get their visas, settle into Tucson, play their warm-up matches, and arrive at SoFi Stadium ready to compete, they're a threat
a genuine, experienced, well-organized football threat. The issue is that all of those ifs are still ifs.
What could happen next? And what's the realistic range of outcomes here? The best-case scenario, and the one FIFA is working toward, is that visas are confirmed for the full squad and staff within the next 2 weeks. That would give Iran time to complete their training camp in Turkey, travel to Arizona, acclimatize, and arrive at their opening match in Los Angeles properly prepared. It would mean the football question is the only question, and that's exactly how it should be. FIFA's regulations require host nations to grant access to all participating teams. The Istanbul meeting produced constructive signals. Mohammed Nabi said he expects resolution within 2 weeks. If that timeline holds, Group G goes ahead with its full 4-team structure, and everything becomes about what happens on the pitch. The more complicated scenario is a delay. If visas are not resolved before the squad needs to travel to North America, Iran faces a preparation deficit that no other team at this tournament is dealing with. Training in Turkey is useful, but it's not Tucson. Arriving late to your base camp without time to adjust to conditions is not ideal for any team. And for a squad already dealing with league suspension and injury absences, every day matters. FIFA has made its position clear publicly. They want Iran there. They've said it repeatedly. Infantino has used the word enthusiastically. The Istanbul talks were described as a breakthrough on the major issues. The next step is for that confidence to translate into confirmed documents for the squad. That's the moment that resolves this story. Regardless of how the logistics land, there's a football story worth watching in Group G. Iran have never advanced from the group stage in 7 World Cup appearances. That's the record. But this edition of the team, under Galenoui, has shown it can compete at the highest level. Taremi at 33 brings experience and composure in front of goal. Jahan Bakhsh adds European quality in midfield. Bierenvand in goal is one of the most recognizable faces in Asian football. The June 15th match against New Zealand is the one that opens Iran's tournament and likely defines their path. If they win convincingly and settle in, they'll carry belief into the Belgium fixture. If they draw or struggle, the margin for error disappears quickly. Belgium will likely be too strong if they arrive in their best form, but Egypt versus Iran on June 26th in Seattle could go to the wire, and if the group is still open heading into that last match, a knockout stage appearance becomes a real possibility. That's the football conversation that should be dominating the pre-tournament build-up for Group G, and it would be if the logistics were still outstanding. So where does this all leave us heading into June? Iran have qualified for their 7th World Cup and their 4th in a row. Their squad has experience, their captain is one of Asia's best strikers, and their coach has a clear tactical identity. They deserve to be talked about as a genuine football team heading into a competitive group. At the same time, the questions around their participation are real and unresolved. The visa situation is the most urgent issue in their World Cup preparation. FIFA has given public assurances. The Istanbul meeting moved things forward. Players are in Ankara processing their applications this week. The next few days will determine a great deal. If visas come through quickly, Iran can focus on football. If there are further delays, the preparation window shrinks and the questions don't go away. FIFA's handling of this situation matters beyond Iran. It's a test of the organization's ability to ensure that every qualified team, regardless of where they're from, regardless of the complications involved, can actually participate in the tournament on equal terms. That's what the promise of a World Cup is supposed to mean. Whether that promise holds in this case is still being answered in embassies in Ankara right now. What do you think? Can Iran still get their preparation right and make a run in Group G? And do you think FIFA has done enough to protect their place in this tournament? Let us know in the comments below, because there are a lot of different opinions on this one. If you found this breakdown useful, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss our full Group G preview and everything else coming ahead of June 11th. It's going to be a fascinating few weeks. This story is still developing, and as always, football never stays quiet for long. See you in the next one.